Hi everyone, this is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. Welcome everyone to this episode. I am with Dan Kazmierczak. Did I say that right, Dan?
Perfect.
Awesome. So Dan and I have never spoken before. I found his information. I was reading, my son graduated from IIT, and we still get the magazines and the updates and stuff in the mail. And I was reading stories about some of the people that graduated, alumni that graduated, obviously from IIT. And I was impressed by your story, Dan, and the work you were doing. And I was like, he seems like a cool guy to talk to and just doing a lot of cool stuff. There's so many cool people, obviously, that graduated from IIT and doing all kinds of neat things. So I get a lot of inspiration when I read that. So welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Thanks for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, when I got that opportunity, you sent me that message. I was like, this is cool. I'm like, my family was like, you better do this. So
yeah, it's so fun. And then it's out there forever. The whole reason that I'm doing these podcasts is because I want to have a library of stories that I can send people to, like, oh, maybe I couldn't do it. No, yeah, you can. I have a story to prove it. Because all ages, all, races, all everything, even educational background, some people that grew up with nothing and are super successful and happy. It's like, it doesn't have to be a mystery. So I appreciate it.
Totally agree. Yep.
Okay, so let's jump into the first question. So tell everyone what you do and if you saw yourself with this career growing up, or if it was a total surprise, like how all of that.
Yeah. So what I currently do right now is I'm in the chocolate industry. I've been doing, this for about 20 years in total in the food industry, but last 15 in the chocolate industry. So I've done product development. Right now I actually do sales as well as technical services. So, and it's like business to business chocolate. So, you taste the chocolate that I've sold and formulated with, but I've not sold it directly to a consumer. So I work for a company, big in Chicagoland, Plumber Chocolate, biggest chocolate company in the U.S. or based out of the U.S. To jump into your question right away, I never would have, my wildest dreams, ever thought that I would be in chocolate, doing as cool things as I have done over the last 15 years. I think back when I was a kid, my father was an accountant. What did I want to be when I was a kid? I wanted to be an accountant.
Okay.
And my dad's like, no, you don't want to do that. You want to be an engineer. So I remember in high school, they had said, hey, you should check out IIT because it's a great engineering school, local. You don't have to go too far. And so then that's where I decided to go because I didn't know, again, I was 16, 17 years old. No one was going to tell me, or I didn't know what I wanted to do. I want to be a teacher. I want to be an accountant. So went to IIT. And this is where the candy background comes in. My dad actually worked at Wrigley Gum for 40 years.
Wow.
So he was an accountant, but he worked at Wrigley. And so I was given the opportunity to work there over the summers. So worked at the cafeteria. I actually worked for one of his buddies. My brothers worked in the factory as well. So, but I never thought I'd stay in confectionery or candy at all. And then, so I went to IIT, did manufacturing engineering because it was really important to me that it was practical. So some of the stuff at IIT is very high level,
yes.
Cerebral. And I give a lot of respect for that. I've got some friends that are, doctors in chemical engineering from there. They're so intelligent. But I wanted something that was practical. So I went to manufacturing technology and engineering. And I remember it was my senior year. And what I thought I'd be working at a job shop that made parts for planes, or I worked at an automotive manufacturer. And at that point in time, I had never been on an interview because I had been lucky enough to get a job. So I applied for a place called Schulze and Birch Biscuit Company. They're down the street, actually from IIT in Wrigley, and I went on an interview, and they offered me a job before I even graduated to run their like pilot plant. So they were a contract manufacturer. They worked with large companies like Nabisco and Procter and Gamble, and so they would help kind of develop their products at the pilot plant and then go into commercialize in the larger plant. And I started there, loved it. I fell in love with it because I get to work with customers. I learned a lot because there were some really wonderful people that work there. I'm still actually good friends with my boss, who I've worked for in 15 years. But the food industry, it's just so cool. It's so small, and people help each other out, which is really cool.
It's funny you say it's small. I would think the food industry you would say is really, really, really big. I have a funny story about Blommer Chocolate Factory or company. So we live in the city now, but I worked in the city for many years through different jobs, and we would always take the train to the western suburbs, and we'd pass the Blommer Chocolate Company factory, and you could smell the chocolate. It's awesome. But you also can smell it throughout the city, depending on the wind. So I would get off the train and I would like just this waft of like hot chocolate wonderfulness, like walking through the city in the middle of the winter. And you're like, oh my gosh, that smell is just phenomenal. My sister was here recently. She's in Oklahoma now, and we're walking through, we're going on a walk by the river, and she's like, what is that chocolate smell? I'm like, that is the Blommer Chocolate Company, and it's only a couple blocks away from where we live. And she's like, oh my goodness. And it's just like it's just such a pleasant, it's a random thing, and you're like, where's it coming from and what's happening? And it's like the best thing. And we get to smell it all the time because we live right by it. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, I took the train for 10 years, and I'd get off the train, and there'd be certain like times of the year, or maybe it was like the moisture near or whatever, and I would smell it, and I'd be like, immediately get off the train, and it's awesome. And yeah, I totally agree with you.
It's just one extra special thing you're not expecting, but
okay, I will tell you,
yeah,
one thing about that smell on the outside is good, but like when they grind the cocoa beans and make it into liquor, and you go by that area, it's a terrible smell because it sticks to your clothes. But anyways,
I see. I could see that. Yeah, like the end result's great, but like getting it there, that's funny. Okay, so you graduate, you have a job, and you found your way to candy. So you're an engineer, but then you eventually found your way into engineering in a candy or chocolate factory or whatever.
Yeah, and the cool thing that brought me specifically to chocolate, so we started working with Nestle. They were developing a Toll House cookie candy bar. This was a long time ago. And so they had a gentleman, his name was Randy Hofberger, came from Nestle, and he showed us how to temper chocolate. And at that point, they were like, that was where a light switch went off. Where I'm like, this is super cool. Like, I love this. I want to do this.
Okay.
So, and actually, I know Randy to this day. He's a great guy. He's like, not only is he great chocolate, but he's like the caramel guru through all of North America. If anyone like needs caramel help, Randy Hofberger.
That's so funny.
And there's only one guy. I'm telling you, in the entire country, like that's it. He's the man. So he taught me how to temper. I loved it. And my kind of tenure at Chelsea and Birch was kind of coming to an end, and a job opening had opened up at Blommer Chocolate. And so I applied for it, and I thought, no one's ever gonna, I'm not gonna get hired. I don't really have any experience. Well, lo and behold, like they reached out to me because they loved my engineering background, the way that I approach stuff. And so I got to talk to all the Blommer family members. That was one of the things throughout the process, was I talked to every single one of them, and they interviewed me. And great family,
Wow.
nice people. And I got hired to be a technical services director, or manager, I should say. And so what that was is I got to travel around all of North America and into Mexico, supporting their chocolate from an application standpoint. So not only could I see how chocolate was made, but I got to see all the customers and how they use the chocolate.
Yeah, so cool. It's such a, everyone I've talked to, I've never talked to anyone that was, I wouldn't even say I probably talked to people that worked in the food industry, but this is like there's people out there making chocolate, selling it to other companies, and they're taking it and doing all these cool things with it. And it's the end product that you enjoy in all different ways. And it's just not even something you think about when you're going along in your day, but there's people making it, and And it's just consuming it and figuring out other cool things to do with it. It's very fascinating. My dad would love, my dad passed away years ago, but he would love this topic because he would just say, it's all about like the behind the scenes stuff, what's happening. You don't consider any of that. And to me, it's fascinating.
It is. Well, and I think everyone thinks everyone makes their own chocolate. That's the one thing that I run into. And I'm like, well, when you really think about it, like they can't, because there would be 10 times more factories out there, or probably 100, if everyone was, making their own stuff. So there was a huge consolidation, I would say, in the late 80s and then the 90s, where a lot of people were making their own stuff, but then they outsourced it to like the Blummers, the Barry Callebaut's of the world.
Okay, it's fascinating. Okay, so you're doing all this. This is cool work, and your dad's probably happy because you're an engineer working instead of as an accountant. You get to do all this cool stuff, and it's like a fascinating. I haven't really met that many engineers that weren't doing fascinating things, so that's not a big surprise. What made you happy and peaceful and content along the way as you were navigating your career and going from role to role and stuff? How did you stay peaceful and happy and content?
I think I found what I was meant to do. I'm more than anything. And I was good at it as well. I don't mean to come off as conceited or anything like that, but they had purchased a plant in Canada in like 2005, 2006. I filled that entire plant with all the formulations that I made. So I made an impact on it. And I also, at the same time, it wasn't just the business impact, but like, I feel like I made an impact with people though, too. There were so many customers that I got to meet and, create, good relationships with the people at Blummer. Like I had a couple people that I work with that they're great friends to this day. And like, I have a ton of respect for them and, very mutual. I think there was something else that really stuck that to this day. So Mars, who was a customer and still is a customer of Blummer Chocolate, they have this phrase where it's mutuality, where everyone wins. And I think that's something that's always stuck with me in my personal and in my career too, is like, I want to be part of a relationship where everyone benefits from it. So long and short of it, I would have never thought that I would have stumbled across making chocolate, when I was in high school or even when I was a kid. But I will tell you, it's like I have roots in chocolate though too, because I remember as a kid we'd have cake, or I wouldn't eat it unless it was chocolate. I love Hershey bars. It was something that it was deep down inside of me, but it wasn't until the opportunities that were given to me that I was able to take advantage of. And I think that's something that I try to tell my kids too, is like, hey, don't ever sell yourself short. Like you have to try something. People are going to give you the chance, but you have to also make your chances too.
Well, I like that. Make your chances, get them, but then make your own chances. I love that. I'm writing that down. That's a good one. Yeah, you're right. It's like don't sell yourself short. Like just try it. Who knows? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know who you're going to talk to, the opportunities that come from different conversations. So it's fascinating. It's good advice. Good parenting advice for sure.
And you're going to make mistakes though too, because for a year I did go work for Beam Suntory. I thought like, I did chocolate. I don't want to be just a one trick pony. I want to, do like, maybe I can do something else. And that wasn't the place for me though too.
No.
Like my heart was always in chocolate.
I'm just curious, when you went there for that 1 year and didn't like it, how soon did you know it wasn't for you? I'm just curious.
It was probably within like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that question just because I'm one of those people where I know within 3 weeks. I know if it's a job, I know if it's a person I'm going to connect to. I know something's not right for me. I know I usually probably know within the first week, but then I give it a couple extra just in case I was wrong. And by the 3rd week, I'm like, nope. Ask myself all these questions. I'm like, no, it's wrong. And I made the wrong move, but I think that's okay to make the wrong move. You just have to turn it around. You can't stay in the mistake that you're making. If you stay in it, that's where the problems come. All right, it's okay. You made a mistake. You made the wrong decision. You made the wrong choice, whatever, but not to what's the word? Not ruminate, but if you stay in there too long, now you're like, I've made a mistake. I admitted it. And now I haven't done anything about it. And now I'm miserable. You
right.
turn it around pretty
You can
quick.
change it. Oh yeah, no, I don't
Yes.
think there's anything wrong with that. Like
Yeah.
you're better off like whereas people say, yeah, some people say like I'm miserable for 20 years doing this. And it's like, well, why would you
Gosh.
do that though? Like
I
if you want to
know.
go work at Subway and be a sandwich artist, that's cool. That's your thing.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's no reason to be that miserable that long. Okay,
No, no.
so speaking of your kids and other people that I'm sure you've managed along the way and teams you've been a part of, what advice would you have for someone searching for a meaningful career where they can use their strengths and be excited every day and kind of like you were able to do? And what do you say to people like that?
I think putting yourself out there, working hard, you know, and like being kind to other people, that really is important because I have been part of some of the corporate structures where it's like, hey, I'm going to cut you off and I'm going to tell you how important I am. It's like there's not much, there's not enough of kind people out there and hardworking, really. Like I sometimes the good guy doesn't always finish first, but you know what? In my book, you do. I see that in people that I work with, and I always have gravitated to it. And I think you're much more successful in my mind by doing the hard work and treating people's with fairness and kindness than trying to be that corporate climbing that ladder.
I agree. And I think even if you are at a successful level and you haven't been kind and you haven't either worked hard or especially been kind for it, in my book, you're not a success anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Right. Yeah, and you can tell people you are, and you can act like you are, but good people probably wouldn't assume that either. So it's not worth it to have to say I've sacrificed kindness to get where I wanted to be or to be successful. In my opinion, it's not a win-win in that regard.
Yeah, man. Wow.
So okay, what do you wish you had learned earlier in your life or career?
Probably don't sweat the small stuff, but I think that's something that I even to this day, I think being able to let stuff go quicker, not really getting fixated on it, whether it's people or things trying to solve stuff. Like I think about certain things where if I made a mistake with the formula or an application or whatever, it would drive me crazy. But in this world, sometimes you can't explain stuff. Sometimes it's just move on, reset.
I like that. Move on, reset, and don't let things drive you crazy because you have control over that.
Correct. Absolutely.
I love that. I'm writing that down too. Okay. What's the greatest gift you offer the world every day? So you have to brag a little bit. What's the greatest thing people would say about Dan? Dan always what? What's the best thing people love about you? What's the greatest gift you offer?
I get stuff done.
Ooh.
If there's a task, especially like that people, I don't want to say people don't want to do, but if they want to get it done in a timely manner and no BS, I'm going to do it. And that was something that I always like. There were some sales guys that I worked with where this guy, his name was Dick Limburger, wonderful guy. I still talk to him to this day. And he's like, Dan, I don't know how you get stuff done because you also make it look so simple too. And I'd always be like, well, because there's no BS with it. Like, I just do it.
Yeah. You put your mind to it. I'm one of those people too, where I get stuff done and people are always asking me like, how do you fit it all in? Or I'm like, same thing. I just focus on it. This is important. I can do it. I don't like to say multitasker anymore because I know from the research I've done, even my book, like multitasking is really not, it's doing everything kind of like half-assed. You're doing it at 40%. But I am good with I'll make a list. I did this, and my friends have commented on this for years, but I think for me, it was always when I was training, I've been in corporate training for a long time, but when I was training all day long, I had 15 minutes in between classes or a break at lunch or whatever. I have to go back to my desk and do boom, 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 because I'm going to be back in the classroom for 4 hours or whatever it was. So I got really efficient at knocking things off the list because I knew for 4 hours I was going to be kind of out of office, really, even though that was my main job. So in between, that was years ago, but I got really good at managing my time. I have 1 hour to do 5 things. I'm going to get them done and they're going to get done well.
Right.
And I never lost that. And I don't know about you, but when I'm getting things done, I make notes to myself. And when I think about doing something, if I'm not engrossed in something else, I just do it right then and there. I want to send someone an email, I just do it.
Yep. Oh, no, that's exactly how, like, I think, I used to work in an office. I've kind of moved to home, so some of my kind of idiosyncrasies have changed. But like, I remember all the time, my desk would be full of sticky notes. I'd be like, write a note, whatever. But at the same time with you, where it's almost like ADD, I would call it, but it's not, because I would stop and be like, I'm gonna get this done. I got to do this. It's jumping to the next thing. I don't even think I wouldn't call it multitasking either. I think it's just being efficient, as you said. That's the way I look that I am.
Moving from task to task, and then there's like, I like knocking stuff off the list, but it's like I'll have a pile of things and it's like, I want to get them done today. I will. This will take me 5 minutes. This will be 10. Sometimes things take me longer or shorter, but I really think one of the tricks is to do it when you think about doing it. Like stop right there, open the email, hit send, and it's like done. That's done. And I might not hear back for a week, but it's like it's done.
It's off your list. Yep.
Yeah, it's off my list. Yeah. Sometimes I wish other people would be just as efficient, but as my husband always reminds me, that's a rarity. Like he's like, you have this. The way you do things is very quick, and that's not the norm. So I have to remind myself that, okay.
And those are the things that drive me, like letting go. Like, okay, I'm going to send this note, and it's something that will take you 2 minutes to get back to me. It'll take you a week. I don't understand why, but I got to deal with that.
Yeah, and it's off my brain now, and I can move on to other things. Yeah. Well, I mean, do you want to share anything? People can get in touch with you or have questions about this, or do you connect with people on other topics around the work you do, or?
Yeah, you know what? I have probably about 10 different companies that I work with and help from a chocolate perspective, or even just like a food science, or even like, I'm happy to mentor people that want to try to get into this industry. Like, honestly, the best way to get in touch with me is LinkedIn. I am on there. You send me a note. I can, if you want to share my spelling of my last name, or,
Yeah, I'll share your profile.
Okay.
I'll share your profile and your name, and it's Kazmierczak.
Wow, that was pretty good.
That's a tough one. I have it up right now. It's underneath your name, underneath your picture, but I'll share your LinkedIn profile and people can connect with you. And I love IIT and all the good that's come out of it. Our son's an engineer. He studied material science engineering, actually. And he's doing work as a mechanical engineer in West Palm Beach. But it's fascinating just what's going on over there, and the people, how smart everyone is at that school. And it's really cool.
I'm going to tell you a secret right now. I didn't think I was very smart. So because there's some really smart, like I think about my really good buddy. He is like 10 million times smarter than I am. I feel like when he talks, I feel like a dummy, but I get somehow they let me in there for some reason. I don't know.
That's how our older son was. He was like, Mom, this is really, really hard. And it was like, but he got in at the lower end, just as far as the credentials and everything of people that get accepted there. But I said, you are with some of the smartest people in the country, and other countries coming there. I said, just learn from them. They have brains that you can, it was tough. It's tough for those people that aren't just like your friend, the chemical engineer. It's like, some people are just like uber smart. You're like, oh my gosh, where did this even come from? He had to work at it. So he's especially proud to have finished in 4 years. And he played basketball too while he was there, which is a big thing too. Like, cool. Surround yourself with all those really smart people, and eventually it starts to rub off. I'm like, and you're the kid that's asking questions, and you'll figure it out. But it's a very impressive group of people going there, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
The work they're doing. Well, thanks, Dan. It's been fun talking to you, and wish you the best. And I'll think of you when I smell that chocolate and see that Blommer Chocolate Factory all the time.
Please do. Yeah, no, thank you so much. I really appreciate being able to share a little bit about myself.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, have a good day, everyone. Take care.
Thanks. Bye. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you love this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they love.